The widow's olive oil. So this comes from 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 1 to 7. It reads, "The wife of a woman from the company of the prophets cried out to Elisha, saying, 'Your servant, my husband, is dead. You know he revered the Lord. But now his creditor is coming to take my 2 boys as his slaves.' Elisha replied, 'How can I help you? Tell me, what do you have in your house?' 'Your servant has nothing at all,' he said, 'except a small jar of oil.' Elisha said, 'Go, ask all your neighbors for empty jars. Don't just ask for a few. Then go inside and shut the door behind you and your sons. Pour into the jars as each is filled, put it aside.' She left him and shut the door behind her and her 2 sons. They brought the jars to her and kept pouring, and when all the jars were full, she said to her son, 'Bring me another one.' But he replied, 'There is not a jar left.' The oil stopped flowing. Verse 7. She went to the man of God, and he said, 'Go and sell the oil, pay your debts, and you and your sons can live on what is left.'" So we're going to share these 7 verses in the context of our families. So this is a scenario of a story of this woman whose name is not disclosed, who was depressed. Unfortunately, most of us are undergoing depression from a lot of sources, and one of the key sources is debt. Inevitably, debt is incurred somehow, somewhere, as long as we're on this planet Earth. But how we manage it and the extent to which debt reaches our necks is what I need to share with you. So this man dies and leaves the wife behind. And this man was one who revered the Lord, meaning even Christians can have debt. And so he dies before the debt is cleared. And now the woman is in trouble. In the olden days, if your debt was too much, it would enslave you or any children you had. And so it brings to us a scenario of the children who were not even part and parcel of this transaction being victims as slaves. So debt can enslave us to a very high degree, and even those that were not involved in it could get to suffer the consequences. And here we're seeing children. In our family setting, the children are the ones that are suffering a huge consequence of the debts that are incurred by us parents. So this woman now cannot handle the debt to an extent that now she's almost giving up her own 2 children. And she can't handle it so much that she hears of a prophet Elisha in the hood. And she says, "I will not pretend anymore because I can't handle this. This debt has reached the neck such that I can't sleep. I can't concentrate at all." And now she prays to say, "Man of God, help me." And this is a prayer that God always bids us to really look upon, to say no matter how much we are going through, as long as we do not call upon him, all he will do is wink. And this is the reality of what is happening in our homes. As long as we do not pray, the debts that we have will haunt us. The man of God said, "How can I help you?" Like God usually responds to us whenever we have issues. He says, "Tell me, what is it that you have in your house?" So this is a rhetoric question that has 2 connotations. Number one, God wants you to show him your bank statement, to show that you are nothing, so that he can come in to show his somethingness in your life. Because sometimes we pretend all is well, especially the men, when we are actually on our knees. And this is what takes us to the grave far quicker than women. It says, "What do you have in your house?" And the woman says, I have nothing. Then God becomes excited to say, out of your nothingness, let me now come in. He says, I have nothing except a little small jar with some oil. Now he comes in and says, now let me make a miracle of what you have, so that I do not completely rule out that you are useless. So he says, bring your small oil, do your network, go around your neighbors and ask for empty jars so that I can work a miracle out of the people that are close within your vicinity. It could be your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, and do what is impossible. Go and ask for what does not make sense, empty jars. I know as you go there, they'll ask you, what is it for? But yours is simply to trust and obey. And they now go. And the instruction is, don't go alone. Go with your children, because they are potential slaves in this whole scenario. And now this teaches us a corporate responsibility within our homes. When issues are confronting even the children, let them participate in the measures that need to be taken. Causes of debt are so many. Others gamble, others school fees, others the loans that we have, inevitably health as well. We become so careless sometimes. We'll pay through our nose because of being negligent in our health. Some debts are actually normal. Others become a demon, where we want to incur a debt and pay another debt with another high interest rates, and it becomes something uncontrollable. And says, go with your 2 sons, let them also go and ask from their neighbors. Boy, give me an empty jar. Change, they don't understand, but this is what I'm about to do in your home. And the unfortunate part is, there are 2 things, especially for Lusaka people, who keep living a lie, competing with their neighbors who don't even know them. They have a car, they're living outside their means. And so he says, go and ask for empty jars. And those empty jars, bring them. And as you bring them, shut the door, because your neighbors, your relatives, your friends, as I am blessing you, may be hurting, because sometimes people are just evil from nowhere. As you are being blessed, in one way or the other, they become envious. They become witches. They even kill you out of your own sweat. But my kid thought he is now on debt. Close the door behind you was the instruction. God will ask us to close certain doors, so that we don't tempt those that are near us to having the itchy eyes and fingers to touching what they have not sweated for. It says, close the doors behind you, I plead. And they did according to the command. And they started pouring, and God started working a miracle in this home. From a little jar to jars, containers and drums, and this oil kept filling and filling and filling. Give me another, she asked. The son said, Mom, that was the last one. And other versions say, and the oil stayed. The oil stopped. Why did the oil stop? Because God doesn't fill filled up jars. He will only come into our lives when we are in lack, in need. And only when we tell him to say, I'm in need, I am empty, I am vulnerable, I am at my lowest point, come in. Especially the men, I emphasize. You can never be a man too much for God. Certain times we need to go kneel and tell him what we want him to do for us. And so she learned her lesson. She could not even touch any of them. She rushed to the man of God to tell him, as if the man of God did not know. But anyway, she still had to rush and tell him what happened. And the man of God was so impressed to say, I have blessed so many people, but none of them ever come back to say thank you. Very few actually come to give their tithes to God. And others don't even think of the debtors. They don't even prioritize our debts. When we have debts, let us prioritize who we owe. Let us remember to pay our debts. After all, we are enslaved because of these court issues, police cases, hiding from our creditors, because they are coming to take our 2 boys, our 2 cherished people in our homes, even our wives. Even what I'm trying to say is, debt can haunt us, and we can only be untied from this gruesome disturbance in most of our families if we ask God to come through. And God is saying, I will work a miracle in you that will not only bless you, but will give you enough to live on. God is not like stingy men who will give you just enough transport money to live, reach you, and take you back. He says, I will bless you with abundance that you not only pay the debt, but you live on the rest. Even accountants borrow, even churches borrow. I borrow. But the extent to which we get committed to liquidating what we owe, especially those, our creditors, the banks, the people that are close to us, is what matters. Sometimes we get into debts because of wrong acquaintances, friends, and wrong companions. Takes us in deals, especially for men who are risk takers who would want to maximize their gains and yet meet the wrong people, and you become a slave to them because you now need to tamanga and make ends meet. It's a tiresome thing. But tonight our study is mainly about relying totally on God. And list the people you owe. Take the list to God and pray one by one to say, I owe this, I owe this, and I want you, God, to clear this for me. And sometimes we make foolish vows, but anyway, He's not interested in the vows. He's really interested in how and our attitude in what He will bless us with. Monies can never be enough. And this has killed so many families and broken marriages and also destroyed relationships, those that are close to us, that we either lent monies to, and those that we borrowed from. Relationships have been destroyed because of the lack of a better term, carelessness. And my prayer for you who is in such a situation is, God is within the city, and He's not going to come into your issue unless you pray and ask Him to come through and help you sort out that mess. Some debts are material, others are immaterial, others are non-financial. Going through marital issues because of our carelessness, and God wants you to come through and ask Him to say, I really messed up. I accept this was a mess, and I ask you to come and unlock me from this issue because it is haunting me, it's killing me. And God will give you a strategy and a warm heart and a reconciling heart that will bring whomsoever you wronged. And consequently, sometimes our debts that we are indifferent to, especially the people that we have harmed who are crying like Hannah somewhere, would perhaps bring bad luck in our lives. Ladies, the men we broke our hearts, maybe even genuinely, let us call for them to apologize, to reconcile, to have a fresh, flowing relationship, but none of these should haunt us. Unfortunately, that sometimes there's a compliment in our lives, like we were learning today. Everything's okay, you are rich, you have everything, but there's just something missing. Could be love, or on the other hand, you have something that is missing. So I pray for each of you to have a wholesome life that will be simple, clean, and less depressing, because the devil is working so much in families to causing stress in all angles that there's just that dot that is small but big enough to hurt. It's my prayer for you that as you excel in other aspects of life, be it academic, may you also excel in your spiritual lives, that we may continue praying for one another. And when we are done with these theories of dead men, let us meet in heaven. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time, and God bless you.